evening and welcome to the thorough newspaper analysis for 13th April 2022. Today's first article is branded a criminal for following custom and has been taken from the Hindu editorial, which has been authored by an advocate at the Madras High Court by the name of M. Santaraman. Following that, as you know, we have the two segments of news updates and legal news, which are a part of LawSikho's initiative to keep the readers and students updated with the current affairs that is happening in and around of India. So in the first article today, branded a criminal for following custom, it talks about the significant tribal population in the foothills of the Nilgiris. Now, they have practices and customs of their own, and such practices and customs will often be deemed unacceptable by the civilized society. Now, the POXO law is especially in highlight in this article because it mandates that the hospitals where a girl below the age of 18 gives birth to a child will go forward and inform the police of such a case. Now, the police will come and arrest the person who is responsible for making the underage woman pregnant. But the problem here is that tribal children do not keep a record of their birth. They marry their girl children off as soon as they reach puberty. And thus, they fall prey to this legislation in particular, since most of them marry and conceive a child before they even reach a legal age. Now, we know that the Hindu laws are formed based on the majority, but we also understand that they are not universal. Supposedly, like polyandry does exist in some tribes because often the cost of marrying a woman is way too high. And in some tribes, when when the family cannot afford that, the brothers go and marry a single woman. However, polyandry is actually banned. It's illegal in the Hindu laws. Similarly, for some tribes where the life expectancy is very less, for them to marry before they reach the legal age only makes sense to them. To treat such practices as crimes are thus untenable and stand against the social justice guaranteed in the constitution. In tribes, girls are married off when they attain puberty. They are unaware of the POXO Act, they are unaware of what legal age is, or any of the legal mandates that bind the holy sacrament. However, to arrest the individuals who have happily welcomed the baby is cruel. To this day, around 50 such cases are ongoing. The hardships faced by the tribals are prosecuting tribals will not only lead them to avoid modern healthcare services the government is providing. So, simply put, continuous arresting of tribal boys because of underage women conceiving and giving birth to children will only plant an idea in the tribal women that if we go to the hospitals and avail the modern healthcare services, the men in our family will be targeted. Now, the law does recognize customs. However, it only recognizes majority customs. And it thus is problematic because the tribal customs are not paid heed to. And once arrested, these tribal people are sent to bail after 2 weeks. And until then, they are held as under trials. Some of them do not even know that they're being arrested. Hence, legal help is actually a very distant reach for them. Besides, blanket laws that remand individuals and do not recognize customs and practices of marginalized communities and tribals are inherently flawed. Madras High Court recently held that the POXO could not be applied in the case of an elopement. Further, the arrests that are made of these tribal boys generally lead to acquittal because there are no evidences. Hence, there is no purpose served with these arrests. Further, the government has actually progressed education into these tribals with dedicated campaign. And in order to teach them of legal age or statutes like POXO, the government should take the same approach. To be stripped of their dignity due to practicing their culture is problematic. And a blanket legislation that serves to protect children from sexual abuse should be taken into consideration, where an amendment that also recognizes such practices as tradition in certain communities. Now, coming to the news update, we have number one, Mimi Reinhard, who typed up Schindler's List, dies. Mimi Reinhard, a secretary in Oskar Schindler's office who typed up the list of Jews he saved from extermination by Nazi Germany, has died in Israel at the age of 107. Reinhard died early Friday and was laid to rest Sunday in Herzliya near Tel Aviv. Her son Sasha Weitman confirmed. She was one of the 1,200 Jews saved by German businessman Schindler after he bribed Nazi authorities to let him keep them as workers in his factories. This was later the subject of the movie Schindler's List. Number two, first flying training organization for Northeastern region. The Minister of Civil Aviation, Shri Jyotindra M. Scindia, and the Chief Minister of Assam, Dr. Himanta Biswa Sharma, today inaugurated the first flying training organization, or FTO, for the northern eastern region in Lilabari, Assam. Lilabari is amongst 9 FTOs to be established in 5 airports in India by June 2022 and includes Belagavi and Kalaburagi in Karnataka, Jalgaon in Maharashtra, and Khajuraho in Madhya Pradesh. Messrs. Redbird Aviation has won the right to establish the FTO at Lilabari. Airports Authority of India has leased land for the FTO and facilitated statutory approvals from DGCA and BCAS. With the establishment of these FTOs, India will aim to become a global hub for pilot training. Number 3, successful high altitude flight test of anti-tank guided missile HELINA. As a part of the ongoing user validation trials, indigenously developed anti-tank guided missile HELINA was again successfully flight tested from Advanced Light Helicopter on April 12, 2022. Teams of Indian Air Force and Indian Army, along with Defense Research and Development Organization, better known as DRDO, conducted the trial at the high altitude range. This is the second successful flight test in successive days. Number 4, SVANidhi se Samriddhi, launched in additional 126 cities. The Union Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, or MOHUA, launched this SVANidhi se Samriddhi program in 126 additional cities across 14 states and union territories on Tuesday, according to an official statement. The ministry said the SVANidhi se Samriddhi, an additional program of PM SVANidhi, was launched on January 4th last year in 125 cities under the first phase, covering around 35 lakh street vendors and their families. For legal news today, we have number 1, decree holders cannot be treated at par with financial creditors under IBC. Supreme Court upholds High Court verdict. The Supreme Court on Monday upheld the Tripura High Court verdict, which held that the decree holders are not at par with financial creditors under IBC. The petition made sought for the declaration of Section 3, Subsection 10 of IBC ultra vires, as it does not define the other creditors and hence to have them struck down. And the same has been held in the case of Shubhankar Bhomik versus UOI and another. Secondly, after Supreme Court nudge, Nagaland finally decides to implement the 33% women quota in local civic bodies. The state of Nagaland informed the Supreme Court on Tuesday that following the nudge by the Apex Court, the state has decided to implement 33% reservation for women candidates in the local self-government institutions. And the same has been held in the People Union for Civil Liberties versus the state of Nagaland. For free study materials and TNA PDF slides, please join our Telegram channel by scanning the QR code here. You can also join our Instagram channels by following these handles: LawSikho.judiciary, LawSikho CLAT Prep, and UGCnet_LawSikho. For any further information, please feel free to visit www.lawsikho.com. So that was all for today. Thank you so much.